Hi guys, welcome to another video. So this video will be actually deep cleaning Gigabyte Aorus 2070 non-super. So this is the test before cleaning. You can see hotspot goes to really high 107 and fan RPM reaching the 4000 RPM, and even the average GPU temps getting over 90 degrees at the maximum. So it was running really hot and really loud. So the customer requested for contacted me to do a deep cleaning and to do a regular repaste, so non-liquid metal, because he wasn't very keen on having liquid metal risking damage to his GPU. So this is a fast forward video of the disassembly process. So there are about 4 screws that's tying in on the GPU die, and then there are other screws. I think in total of, if I could count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think a total of 9 screws, including the 4 that ties the GPU, that secures the GPU die to the cold plate. And take note that there is this warranty void temper sticker. So there's 1 screw under the temper sticker as well. There are 2 fan cables and I believe 1 RGB cable. So a total of 3 fan cables that are disassembled there. So here I'm disassembling the old thermal pads, which is really thin and very sticky thermal pads. So yeah, so there's that. So I wanted to replace the thermal pads. I think the thermal pads are doing a fine enough job. The problem with the 2000 series is that you never know what the memory temps are like because they do not have a memory sensor on the 2000 NVIDIA series. So here the thermal paste is really dried up. As you can see, I'm using a plastic spudging tool to scrape away the existing thermal paste, and I'm actually unscrewing this metal plate, which is connecting, which actually cools the VRAM it kind of transfers the heat from the VRAM to the heatsink, because the 2000 series, they actually didn't design the heatsinks to cool the VRAMs. So they need an external metal plate for that. So here, these are the side screws that actually retains the CPU cooler to the fan shroud. There, the fan shroud is disabled, and you can see there's like screws there on the bottom of the fan shroud. So those attaches the RGB LEDs to the fan shroud. So here I'm disassembling the GPU fans. Each fan is secured by 3 screws at the base. So as you can see, when I unscrew them, I actually put them with the same group of magnets. So that is for me to categorize, like, okay, so these are the fan screws and these are the fan shroud screws and so on. So during reassembly, it will help me to minimize the confusion. So that's the naked heatsink. So the heatsink wasn't really dirty for this particular GPU, but I still wanted to deep clean it. I mean, the customer still requested for a deep clean. So here I use dishwashing liquid along with a toothbrush, a used toothbrush, and just to scrub it clean. Use water to flush away the dust. Then scrub the underside as well. Then of course the thermal pads, I give them a good scrub to remove the dust that's sticking to the thermal pads. So I'll leave the heatsink out to dry, to air dry, while I use a damp cloth to clean the underside of the fan shroud. So the fan shroud has a few screw-in LEDs, and I didn't really want to disassemble them because it's quite a hassle. The cabling seems to be very complicated. So since it's not too dirty, I just clean it out with a damp towel. Same thing for the underside of the GPU fans. I cleaned it with a damp towel. And yeah, take note, do not wash your GPU fans because there is a PCB and electronics inside on the inside hub of the fan, so you don't want to damage those. I just use isopropyl alcohol to clean the GPU metal plate and also the GPU die. Okay, so I'm using a paper towel along with 99%, but I think I'm using 99.9% isopropyl alcohol. But I believe there are comments on YouTube that say that 95% isopropyl alcohol and better, that means 95 and above, alcohol content isopropyl alcohol should be safe enough. So here for thermal pads, I'm using the Gigabyte GP Extreme thermal pads. Take note, they are not the Gigabyte GP Ultimate. The Ultimate seems to advertise higher thermal conductivity, but is a little bit harder. So I prefer the GP Extreme because it is of a softer. It is softer, so when you need to compress, like when you need to really tighten your heatsink to your GPU die, the softer thermal pad will be more forgiving when you need to really tighten it down, so to provide better contact pressure with the GPU die. If you use thermal pads that are a little bit too stiff or too hard, then the hardness of the thermal pad will be obstructing us from being able to tie down the cooler to provide enough contact pressure with the GPU die, hence resulting in higher GPU temps, higher GPU die temps. So here I make sure I just estimate the size of the thermal pad that I need to cut. And in this part, actually, I haven't removed the upper coating. Like there's this Gigabyte branding on the plastic on the upper side. I actually include it there just to take a picture and show the customer that, yeah, I'm using authentic Gigabyte branded thermal pads. Here, I just clean the back of it, the back of the back plate with isopropyl alcohol. Keep the thermal pads, and we'll proceed to the next phase, which so this is the following day, or I think the end of the day. So the heatsink has actually air dried, and now I'm reassembling the GPU fans back onto the heatsink. So this is where if you take a video recording or a picture of the orientation of the fans and the cables before you disassemble it, it will be really, really helpful, right? Because you can use that picture or video as a reference point of how the fans should be aligned and how the cables should be routed, because they come with a very specific form of routing. So here I'm now reassemble the heatsink onto the fan shroud, and those are the screws I took out earlier. So in this case, the screws are still relatively in good condition. If the screws are rusty, I usually use a sandpaper and sand the top of the screws to remove the rust. So I believe there are 4 screws on one side and 2 screws on the other side of the fan shroud. So that ties down the heatsink to the fan shroud. Okay, so fan shroud assembly is done, and just wipe clean. And now we will proceed with reassembling the so-called the metal plate to the heatsink. So here I'll be using thermal paste, which is the Maxtor MTP something you can see on the screen, 8301A, and the price has actually doubled from when I bought it last year. So last year I bought 100 grams, a tub of 100 grams for about 44 SGD, and now they have raised the price to over 80 SGD, Sing dollars. So they have actually doubled the price. Yeah, MTP 8301A. It is rated for 11.2 WMK thermal conductivity, and I've tested it out on many GPUs. It actually performs really well, as you will see by the end of this video, or in the beginning of the video, if you see that the change in temperature, right? So it performs really well. I believe only probably a few degrees higher than when I use my liquid metal. So here I remove the top plastic, the plastic coating that's covering the top of the thermal pads, and I reassemble the fan cables as well as the RGB cables. Make sure they're well attached. Then make sure the holes match up, and here we screw down the PCB to the heatsink. So what I usually like to do is I like to assemble the screws on the outer area. That means all the smaller screws, not the 4 major GPU die screws, and I leave the 4 GPU die screws as for the last part. And when I assemble them, I tighten them in a cross fashion. So make sure that you cross tighten them to ensure even pressure on the GPU die. Okay, and assembly is all done. Use isopropyl alcohol to wipe the exterior surface clean of any thermal paste or remaining thermal pads. So as you can see, the performance is great. So now GPU, so GPU is running and it has fantastic RGB. The 2000 series Gigabyte Aorus edition always has the best RGB that I've seen. You can see that GPU temps average 60. Hotspot is only around 70 plus, and the fan is running about 1400. So it's running a lot quieter and a lot cooler. Alright, and that's it for the video. So if you have any comments or questions, leave them below. If you like this content, please subscribe, and I'll make more of them. Okay, see you guys next time.